Hello everyone, this is Prometheus, the maker of the Prohawk heads-up display, or HUD, and today I'm going to go over how to configure and set up your titler. The titler comes with the HUD in the folder that you received both in, and what I've done is I've already warned my HUD. Now your HUD will look different from this one. Each game has its own individual style, look, feel, and menu buttons. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add or wear my titler, and you'll see it starting up right here, configuring itself and connecting to the HUD. This is similar to what you'll see. Now the lines will differ. Like I said, each game has different factions and different ranks and that sort of thing, but the basics are the same. You'll see a summary of your information by default. Now with your titler in the folder that you got it in, you may have also received a note card. This is an introduction note card to the titler with a lot of information in it. You'll see a lot of stuff in here related to command lines, things you can type into chat to do things like alter colors, to add and remove lines, to set dynamic fields. So these are variables that get replaced, like this will get replaced by your username anytime it's found in a line. This would get replaced by the number of active quests that you have, etc. This is your first affiliation rank, etc. as it goes on. I'm not going to go through all this today. This is kind of an older way to program your titler. It's a little more laborious because it requires all of these commands on the command line. What I'm going to do is go through the graphical setup. Now to do this, you're going to have to use the web-based panel, which is this right here. I've already released a video describing how to get your HUD set up to show this panel, so you can go back and review that if you would like this panel and you don't already have access to it. If you are unable to use this panel because of your system limitations or what have you, there's another way. We can send this to an external web browser, which, well, really every viewer that I've ever seen can handle. So what I can do is I can go to my Set menu, go to Web, and I'll set External. And I'll just do this right now to show you. And what that will do is it will open up this blue box, which is going to send me to an external link. And I'm going to go to that page, and you'll see that this actually opens up the HUD menu in its own web page. We're actually using a web browser here to see the HUD. So even if you can't get the panel to work, you ought to be able to get this web page to work. So we're just going to move along with that. If you look on the left, you look at the main titler, and you'll see there's some words here: the NEC leader, mage leader, citizen, artisan. That's all coming from here. Notice under affiliation ranks, we have alignment is this NEC. There's the NEC that we saw right there. Here's that mage leader that we saw. Here's that citizen, and then artisan right here. That's where the information is coming to populate this titler, and I'll show you how that's all done. If I go to the menu and I go to Set and then Titler, we'll see the different titler modes that I have. By default, the titler comes with 4 modes: main, OOC, AFK, and off. And I can click up here on this bar to see the various settings for each. Now if I look under main, if you remember from that note card, it had these bracketed variables and they're getting replaced. Notice that this says RP name, and over here you can see Pro. That's because it knows that my RP name is Pro, like it's listed here, and I can even edit that RP name here. So whatever I put into here goes up to here. In fact, I'll do that right now. If I say Prometheus and save that, it'll change to Prometheus, just like that. And it updates. The same will happen with affiliations and ranks. So as I look at my titler, and I note in the settings that it has affiliation 1, 2, and 3, as I am added or subtracted to different affiliation ranks and those change, things like this will automatically pick up those changes. So anytime you use that kind of a field or that kind of syntax in a line, it will pick up information dynamically. So something to keep in mind. I also have an OOC mode, which just says that I'm out of character, and I can switch to that by clicking on this button. And notice there it is. Now you'll notice that once more it used that field name and replaced it with Prometheus Romulus, so it knows who I am. I can do the same thing with Away from Keyboard, AFK. I can click on the button down here. It will switch. Now notice this one is red. That's because if I look at my settings, the color right here is defined as red without any blue or green. And finally I have off, and all off is simply setting the color to black, setting the transparency to 100% transparent so you can't actually see the word off. And it's gone. So how do I change these things? All right, so one thing I can do is I can edit one that already exists. So I could go in and I can set. Now let's remember how we got here. We went to the menu, I went to set, I went to titler, and here I am. Let's pick one. We'll pick main. Now what it will do is set that as my active titler. And notice the line right here, click to edit active titler, main. So I'll go ahead and do that. And look what I can do. I can edit the features of this particular titler. I can change the colors, I can change the transparency, I can change its name. Here are the lines that are associated with the titler, right here. So each one you can see is listed. And what I can do, so for instance, I'll change the name. I'll turn this to on. Someone had mentioned to me that, well, there's a titler off. How come there's no titler on? So let's make that now, instead of main, we'll make it on. So now we have on, OOC, AFK, and off. So you can modify the existing modes, but you can also add new ones. So let's add a new one. I'll add one now. I'll click New. And here I am. By default, titler 5. It just has one line with my name. I'm going to change this. This is a mode I like to use. I like to have a build mode. So I'll say building. I'll make it yellow. And I know to do that, I set my red and my green up all the way. And then I have lines. Now, let's say I want to get rid of the word name. I'll make this my username, not my RP name. If I want to add a new line, notice there's a little plus. There's a minus. There's also an up arrow and a down arrow, but let's hit the plus. I have a new line, so I'll just say building. And I'll add is currently. And let me save that. And there we go. It's changed yellow, and I have my two lines. I can continue to edit as I go. This is iterative. So if I want to test it out, come back here and check it out again. Let's say I want to add a third line. Right now. Save it again. And there we go. Let's say I want to delete a line. I decide that I don't really need that right now line, so I can click on the minus, and it's gone. I could insert a line. And see what that looks like. So there's another line added, which I will then delete. I can switch lines around. So here's the up arrow and the down arrow. I'll click the up arrow. Notice it switches the lines around. So now the second one's on top, the first one's on the bottom. And I'll go back and make it correct there. And that's how you do it. Now, one of the things you can do, you can also delete, of course. This will delete the one that you are currently on. So it says if I click this button, I will delete my new building one. And now it's deleted. So here I have the 4 remaining, on, OOC, AFK, off. And what I can do is I can switch between them by using the command line. So here we are. Let me bring in the command line. Notice that it gave me a notification it was using the external web display, which is what this panel is here. And it's fairly easy to set the different modes. First, what I'll do is I'm going to set back to, because I don't want it to keep popping into an external web browser, so I'm just going to say set web on. And what that will do is it'll switch back to being an internal panel here on the viewer. Now what I can do is I can just say set titler OOC. And I get that setting, or I can switch to AFK, and I get that setting. And just to show you the rest, I can set it off. Now, since we renamed it, I can turn it on. and it's back. And that is how you use the Prohawk titler system. That's how you edit them, how you can review them, and how you can create and delete various titler modes. And I'll just go ahead and create that new build mode again. And there we have it. So hopefully that introduces you to how to create and maintain your various titlers. That's all for right now, and have fun with the system.